As someone who's been side hustling for over 5 years and has made way over 150K doing this whilst working a full-time job, here are my 5 side hustles that I would really strongly consider doing in 2026 if I was starting from scratch all over again. 5 side hustles that I'm going to talk about today all have an upfront cost of less than like 30 to 50 pounds. I've made so many mistakes along the way. I've wasted loads of money. I've made wrong decisions. I've tried countless side hustles that didn't work and have worked. And so these are my top 5 that I would really strongly consider and really think about starting in 2026. The number one question I always get asked whenever I do a side hustle roundup on social media or talk about side hustles is, amazing, I just don't know where to start. And I think that's a super valid question because you get bombarded with so much information and so many different ways of making money these days that it's super hard to know which side hustle you should begin with and which side hustle will actually suit your lifestyle and your needs. A lot of people are like, oh, side hustles are a scam. This course is a scam. Yes, of course, there are some things out there which are a bit scammy. I'm not going to talk about those, but I also think a lot of the time side hustles don't work because you are not aligning to the right side hustle and you're not doing the right side hustle for you because you don't give it the time, energy, and investment that you need to make it successful. Because there's 2 different types of side hustles which I always like to think about. Number 1 is a side hustle which makes you a little bit of extra cash, doesn't take too long, doesn't have a high investment at the beginning, doesn't have a long payback time, and it's really simple and easy to do just to make a few quick bucks. But then there's the other side of it, which a lot of people get confused about and a lot of people don't end up making money from, are those longer term side hustles which end up being full-time businesses. And I think what we're sold online is really difficult because we are sold the dream, right? Everyone wants to be making thousands and thousands of pounds extra a month and quit their 9 to 5, which they don't love, or start that business which does have a big paycheck at the end. But what people don't typically advertise when they are talking about those side hustles is actually they're like a full-time business. And you need to be putting a lot of energy, a lot of time, and a lot of upfront costs and investment into those side hustles because that's the only way you're going to get a lot of cash at the end. But I think people give up in the middle point because they don't realize how hard those typical longer term side hustles, which are businesses, are. And that's not your fault either. If you are in that position where you have tried different ways of making money, but they haven't worked out, it's probably because you didn't realize the upfront time, cost, energy, investment that you did need and the payback time for you to get your money back and to see a return once you've actually done that side hustle successfully. I'm going to talk about 2 different side hustles, the shorter term side hustles and the longer term. I'm going to start with more shorter term side hustles that I would kind of do in 2026. So get a drink and let's talk about it. Firstly, like I said, you need to be honest with yourself. How much time realistically in a week can you give yourself to do these side hustles? If you only have a couple of hours, that's fine. Maybe go for the first few that I'm talking about. Whereas if you have, or you can make time to really commit to certain side hustles, then you will be able to get a lot more out of them. And therefore you might think about the later side hustles that I'm going to talk about. How much energy can you give them as well? Like say you've got kids, I don't know, you've got a really demanding job, anything like that. Obviously you don't have as much energy to be able to give to these. So again, maybe do something which is a lower effort. How much money can you actually invest up front? 5 side hustles that I'm going to talk about today all have an upfront cost of less than 30 to 50 pounds. So they're quite simple to do. They won't take too long because I know everyone's got busy lives. They don't have too much time. And also, they don't have too long of a payback time, kind of 3 months, 4 months or less. All these side hustles won't, be life-changing money unless you put a lot more time and effort into them, but they are a great way to earn quite a bit of extra cash with low effort so that you can start building more towards your big goals. Yeah, so be honest with yourself about how much time and effort and energy that you have to be able to commit to these side hustles. I would also like to preface there's absolutely nothing wrong with not having enough time, energy, amount of money to put in. This is why I'm making this video, because it is for those people who maybe have scarcity on any of those things. But it's good just to think about it in that way, that this is maybe a more shorter term side hustle or a low effort side hustle, which maybe doesn't have the biggest reward, but it will give you passive income, or it will give you a nice amount of income every single month on top of your 9 to 5. And I just want to give an example of myself. For example, my first 2 side hustles was selling stuff on Vinted, and also I started selling books on Amazon. Those were completely different. One was a long-term side hustle with high investment at the beginning. I spent, I think, £1,500 at the beginning to buy a course on how to sell books and to actually make the book, that kind of thing. And then it also took me 6 months to actually start selling my first book, and it took me about 2 to 3 hours every single day of working on that side hustle to be able to make it a success. Whereas selling stuff on Vinted, I just had to find stuff around my house and make it look presentable and put it up online. Within an hour, I could have made a sale. So they're 2 very different things. Definitely 2 very different outcomes. It's good to have that in your mind when thinking about these things, so you can be realistic with yourself, and also you just give yourself some grace. I'm going to get into 5 side hustles that I would start today, and I'm going to rate them on effort levels out of 5, upfront costs, and the average payback times, and give you a rough estimate of how much you can be earning from each one of them. So hopefully this can try and spark some inspiration for you of where to start looking, of which sites or which side hustles that you could potentially be doing to make that bit of extra cash this year. So number 1 is selling your voice to AI. So you can do this on sites such as 11 Labs, and essentially it's when you record your voice. It says for 30 minutes, but I think they need up to 5 hours of you speaking into a high quality microphone, and that's all you need to do. You need to speak into a microphone. So sit down, read a book for 5 hours, which sounds like a lot of time. It is a lot of time, but after that it is completely passive, your income that you make from this. Essentially what happens is then people can go and use your voice from 11 Labs for videos, for advertising, for anything like that. Anytime someone uses your voice, you get paid for that. So one of my best friends, her and her partner have done this, and they have had their voice live since mid 2024, because 11 Labs did actually close this and now they've reopened it again. So it's a great side hustle to start now. I'm going to put her screenshots here. She's made nearly 4 grand. And legit, she has not done anything other than that 5 hours of recording 1.5 years ago. So imagine making 4 grand for 5 hours work. I would say personally, that's worth it. And I'm actually gonna do a separate video on myself testing this side hustle and doing it to see how easy it is. So the effort levels is actually really easy. You just sit there and read a book. So it's 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5, I will rate that, because so simple. All you have to do is read, very easy. And also if you make mistakes, you don't have to like cut them out or anything, just carry on. Upfront cost, it depends if you have a microphone or not. If you don't have a high quality microphone, for example, I didn't, but a couple years ago, I bought one off Facebook Marketplace. It was, I think I paid £80 for a really high quality podcast microphone. Not to say that you necessarily need to buy that spec, but I think you can get some really good ones for about £50, especially on Facebook Marketplace, or other reselling platforms like eBay. So definitely look into those. And yeah, so you could start this side hustle for around £50, which is really cheap considering. And the average payback time when someone uses your voice is, it does vary. Obviously it varies on who uses your voice, how often they use your voice, etc. But on average, my friend earns around £50 a week, so around £200 a month. Her fiance, he makes around £80 a month. So from around £200 to £300 every single month going into their bank account, and they have not touched it since they did it in 2024. So I would say that's a pretty great income stream if you're looking to do something that won't take a lot of time and really is passive after you've done it and after the fact. So that is a great side hustle to start. And like I said, 11 Labs did close this for a while, but they have reopened it again. So it's a great time to strike now. The second side hustle I would really consider is reselling stuff on Vinted, Facebook Marketplace, and eBay. I would say each of them I would sell different things on. So Vinted, for example, I would sell clothes mostly. Facebook Marketplace, I would sell little things like vases or cabinets or I don't know, books, something like that. And then eBay, you would think it would be dead. You think eBay, no one cares about eBay, but that's actually, the facts actually are quite different to that. And what they have recently said in different studies is that eBay is actually more trusted for niche products, things such as coins, things such as electricals, different things like that. So if you can, like gaming equipment, anything like that, and it's a great place to start for kind of more niche products. This is really easy because you can start with stuff already in your house. I don't know whether I should show you this because I'm embarrassed, but this is my whole pile of stuff behind my sofa that I need to put up and sell. So that is everything that needs to go up that I need to do recently. And yeah, last year, for example, every time I do put up stuff on Vinted, for example, I put everything up for about £5 to £10 unless it's a specialist item. If it is specialist, then depending on how much people are reselling them, I will go for that. But there are loads of different ways that you can make your items more presentable, kind of staging them, that will help you get a higher sale for them. So it's all about marketing and the way that you take pictures, the way that you present the items, that will really help you boost sales on those platforms. I actually did a podcast around that, just a 15-minute podcast with the Money Matters podcast by AJ Bell. I'll put the link here if you want to go and listen of everything that you need to be able to resell your items more easily. I would say the effort for this is like 2 out of 5. It does take a lot of effort to kind of find the items, make them look presentable, and put them up online, but it's a really easy process. It just kind of takes a lot of effort to snap those pics, really. I would say it's a 2 out of 5, but the actual process is super easy and mind-numbing to do. The upfront cost is 0. All of these platforms are free. Like for example, eBay, it's completely free for the first 300 items every month. I mean, most people are not gonna be selling more than 300 items. And the average payback time, I would say, is about 1 to 3 weeks. It doesn't take long to sell stuff, and it's pretty easy money. Some months I don't make loads if I don't put up loads of items, but other months I've made like £600 just from selling a few items. Again, even to ship them, it doesn't cost any money because you put that within the pricing. Put them in old shopping bags, for example, so I don't even have to spend money on packaging or anything like that. So I would say it's a very easy one to start with. Lots of people don't like to do it, but it's super simple, and it's a great way for you to just start building that muscle of you actually earning a bit of extra money, putting it aside, helping yourself get richer, and building those money habits to be able to get more money in the future. The third side hustle, and it's one that I love doing, is UGC. UGC stands for user generated content, and it's essentially when brands pay you to make videos for them to post on their social media, on their website, or wherever they want to post it. It's a great way if you want to be a content girly who doesn't quite have a following, because you don't need a following to do UGC. Essentially, they're paying for you like they would pay for an actress. It's also a great way of earning money because yes, it starts a bit lower to making one video. Maybe you would start charging about £100 or £150 per video, but what you can add on to start making more money. A lot of brands want usage rights, which is when they pay to push paid spend behind it. It's a great way of earning extra money if you can make a good video. I would put this effort level as 3.5 out of 5 because it does take effort to learn how to make a good video. Everyone makes it look easy on social media. It's not. It's quite hard to learn how to edit. I recommend CapCut for this. It's quite hard to learn how to do a good hook, how to present yourself well, how to actually create good energy. Brands basically want you to look and represent their customer, and that's why they use user-generated content, because it comes across more authentically to their customer, and therefore they are good converting ads. However, if you don't know how to present yourself on camera, it does make it a lot harder. So I would say this is a great side hustle if you are keen on doing videos with your face in it. UGC, everyone always wants to ask me, can you do UGC faceless? You can, but it's so much harder and you have to be really, really good at editing. However, most people aren't. So the best way to do it is by showing your face. You don't have to have a super aesthetic background, a super aesthetic life, because people and brands want different types of people and different UGC for different things. For example, if you do want to be on the face of like a beauty brand, of course, maybe they want a bit more aesthetic kind of vibes. However, if you are a mum and you have, I don't know, a 2-year-old and there's loads of mess behind you and stuff, that would work better for a mum brand. So there are lots of different brands looking for these customers to be able to represent their brand. And no, you don't necessarily have to be a customer of that particular product, but you just have to represent their ideal customer. It takes about 1 to 2 hours to do one video, actually filming it and editing it and doing the research. And the upfront cost is about 25 to 35 pounds, because I would say to do it properly, you need to buy a tripod and a light. I'll put the ones that I use below. Super easy. You can do it without them, but if you're watching from England or a less sunny country, I would definitely recommend getting the light. The tripod's less useful because you could maybe prop your phone up on like some books or something, but it's just a lot harder. And if you want to make your life easier, it costs £15, £20 just to get one, and you won't regret it because it just makes your whole flow and workflow so much easier. I would say the average payback time of getting your first few deals will be around 2 to 3 months, so it's not long. And just for example now, I've been doing UGC for about 1.5 years and I've made way over 50 grand doing that. Some videos, are only £250 per video. Other videos I've made over £1,000 for one video. So it does vary, and those are just some things to think about. It's something that you can increase your money over time. My fourth side hustle that I haven't tried, but I will be trying and testing and putting on this channel, so definitely subscribe if you want to see this video, is doing AI content creation. So it's similar to UGC where you're talking to the camera. However, it's actually using AI to be those actors. I would say this is a 4.5 out of 5 for effort, because you have to learn the tech. And if you aren't a techie person like me, I think this would take a while. It requires you to get really good at prompting, because although it sounds really easy online, actually making a good AI video is really hard if you don't prompt the AI in a really specific way. It also takes a while for some of the platforms to create those videos too. I'm gonna be testing it out, like I said, so I'll let you know exactly how easy it is. I haven't done it yet, but it's definitely a way of keeping up with the industry trends, and it's also something that you can outsource, right? So there are a lot of brands that want to start using AI to test in ads, etc. And this is something that you can hire a person from Fiverr, from Upwork in a different country that will cost way less, but you just have to find the clients and then get someone else to do the prompting and the AI generation. So that's another way of doing it. And there is a lot of demand for this from businesses to try and use AI in their advertising and to be able to get more clients. So the upfront cost is around 20 to 50 pounds a month, and that's for the tech, like Nvidia, Nano Banana, all those kind of things. They do cost a bit of money because you will need to use like credits to download and create those AI. So not much of an upfront cost, but it will take some time to learn the tech, and it will take some time to get clients and advertise you doing this. But I would say the average payback time, if you learn how to do it or you find someone who can do it with you, will be about 2 months by the time you actually find some clients to be able to do this with. And finally, my last side hustle that I really recommend, and I've seen a big trend and move towards, is LinkedIn management. So I'm sure you've heard Tom, Dick and Harry is talking about the effect of personal brand and how having your personal brand will open so many more opportunities and so many doors. I personally couldn't agree more with that statement, because since starting my social media journey only, a year and a half ago-ish, my life's completely changed. So I'm a massive advocate of this. And one thing that a lot of business owners don't have time to do is LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is a great way for businesses to find new customers, to find new leads, to increase their pipeline. So one thing that has been increasing is the need for founders, business owners, C-suites, etc. to be posting more on LinkedIn because it's an easier win for them than posting on on other social media platforms like Instagram, because it's more native to what they're doing anyway, and it's a bit more of a professional platform. So a lot of people are outsourcing this type of work to people who know how to write, because everyone's seen so many LinkedIn posts now which are AI generated. No one likes them, they're boring, they can't cut through the noise. So people want genuine people who are passionate, who love writing, and who can take someone's story and make it into a cohesive post or few posts so that they can build their own personal brand. And people are paying good money for this. So either from like £800 to like £3,000 a month just to post a few times on LinkedIn. A couple of my friends do this and they are making really, really good money from it. The upfront cost is zero, but you will need to spend a bit of time and effort to, show and prove that you can write a good story, outreach to clients, and build up probably your own personal brand on LinkedIn to be able to show your skills and your capability. So I would give the effort of this maybe a 3.5, maybe a 3 out of 5, because if you love writing as well, obviously this will be a lot less, because it's not necessarily a skill that you have to really learn. The upfront cost is zero, you just have to have a LinkedIn account. And the average payback time, I would say, is about 2 to 3 months, because you have to find a client and then you actually have to do the work to get paid. So those are my top 5 side hustles that cost less than £50 to start and have a really low payback time of 3 months or less, that I would start in 2026. I'm gonna test a few of them, like selling my voice on 11 Labs, so that's gonna be a video coming very soon. I also resell stuff on Vinted and stuff all the time. However, I've never actually bought stuff from like car boot sales, from lost luggage, etc. So I might try and do that to see how much money I can really push in a month. I'm gonna do that as a video. And also AI content creation. So if you want to see any of those videos, then like and comment what you would like me to test in those, and I'll be able to make sure I put them in the video. And also subscribe, because then you won't miss out when they go live. I hope you found that useful. Comment down below which side hustle you're gonna start, and let me know if you like more videos like this. Have an amazing day.